Hello everyone and welcome to Durbanites FPL Game Week 20 review and Game Week 21 preview. Starting off with the table, Fataliteam still holding strong at the top and opening up a lead over Onana and Dora the scorer. It gets a little bit tighter in the middle of the season and also gets a bit tighter towards the bottom of the table where everyone's fighting to get off the bottom spot. Now, looking at the player selection, some players still holding strong. Kieran Trippier still with 8 out of 10 managers. Then Ollie Watkins, Mo Salah, Pedro Porro, and Julian Alvarez joining in 7 out of 10. Julian Alvarez getting a run now with Haaland out of the lineup for at least the past few weeks. And William Saliba still just holding on 6 out of 10 managers still wanting him. Looking at the differentiators this last week, Phil Foden coming in strong, just 1 out of 10 managers having him. Matthias Cunha doing really well for 2 out of 10 managers, as well as Douglas Luiz, Alphonso Areola and Cole Palmer now being favored by more managers, slowly moving into the staples category. Both of them doing really well over the past 3 weeks. Now, looking at the hits and misses for the last game week, looking at the hits, midfield maestros for myself and Ami, both of us scoring more than 50 points from our midfields, including Mo Salah, Cole Palmer, so a lot of big points there. And then for those that captained Mo Salah, of course, always a good option. In that Newcastle match, it was a bit dicey, but they took the risk and got the reward. Ami, Zax, and Squish getting 32 points from that. And then recognizing those that took a chance on some super strikers here, so some sharpshooters, Azra and Zai both picking up more than 25 points just from their front row. Looking at the misses, Zai picking up the hot bench this week, 30 points sitting on the bench, including Cole Palmer sitting in third spot on the bench. And for those that actually didn't back Cole Palmer and transferred him out, the and Squish missing out on those 18 points. Now, looking at the best possible selection of the team that we had, Areola up and back, not much in terms of defense. It was not a good week for defenders across the board. But then look at that midfield, Salah, Douglas Luiz, Palmer as captain, Foden and Son, then Watkins and Cunha up front. No place this week in the front lineup for Alvarez, Porro, Walker or Vicario, but all of them on the bench, giving you 132 points for this team and 150 including the bench boost at a total cost of 98.8. So definitely something worth looking at. Now, looking at the games that went past and the games coming up this week, Luton, they've got Lockyer out and Kabore out, so definitely a problem there in defense for them. Tough week coming up against Burnley. But Andros Townsend, ex-Spurs, and Ross Barkley, ex-Everton, both of them are playing really well. And Carlton Morris also well worth a look. So against Burnley, they do have a shout, although they might concede goals. Now, looking at Chelsea, they've always got some trouble with form. But looking at it, that win against Luton was not bad. Possibly they could do well against Fulham as well. A couple of injuries down at the back. And of course, Nicholas Jackson missing because of his tour with the AFCON. But you still got Raheem Sterling, you still got Cole Palmer, both of them good options to take into this next game week. Looking at Aston Villa, they have some good fixtures coming up, except for Newcastle in Game Week 22. A few defensive issues here, but looking at them, they have a lot of options for point scoring. So you can see the picks there: Watkins, Luiz, Diaby, Bailey, McGinn. A lot of different options for you to put in there. So depending on your price range, you can go shopping around. Looking at Burnley, of course, they've got Luton this week. Good chance for them to pick up points. Not too many issues with injuries, just Kolyosho that's out. But they've got Odobert, who's in good form, and Lyle Foster, who's also doing really well. Now, looking at Crystal Palace, they've actually picked up a good win over Brentford. Brentford really struggling right now. Crystal Palace don't have too many injuries, but Jordan Ayew is out going to AFCON. Johnston is still doubtful, and there's still some issues around. Olise might be doubtful as well. So not really picking up anyone this week when they go up against Arsenal. Looking at Brentford, they are really struggling. Brian Mbuemo's out until March, and that is really costing them. Kevin Scott is out. Wissa's gone to the AFCON. They still don't have Ivan Toney back yet for another week. So they've got Matthias Jensen is probably the only pick that I would put out, even against a Forest side that should be beatable. But Brentford are not in a good space at this moment in time. Looking also at Manchester City and Sheffield United. So Manchester City, a few issues. Haaland is still doubtful, hasn't been playing in the last couple of weeks. Stones is definitely out. They've got Newcastle this week, should not disturb them because Newcastle have been struggling against the big teams. De Bruyne might be back. For those of you that are missing Mo Salah because of the AFCON, might be a chance for you to bring in De Bruyne, who's a proven point scorer, for about the same price, and just test him out. You've also got Doku, who's back to full fitness, Foden, who did well last week, as well as Julian Alvarez. So he's still good at putting in the goals, while Haaland is away, so might be a good option for you. Then looking at Sheffield United, again, tough week against West Ham. They don't have any issues, but I would also not call out any picks for them this week. Looking at Wolves, Wolves have some issues. So one of their most prolific point scorers this year, Chan, is now gone off to the Asian Cup. But they do have Cunha, who's in good form in the last 2 weeks up front. Neto is back as their playmaker, so might be a possibility. But they're going up against a Brighton team that is now again facing some resurgence. I would say beside Neto and Cunha, if you have them, I wouldn't make any more picks. Looking at Everton, they've got a tough match coming up against Villa. Doucouré is doubtful. Dwight McNeil is also doubtful. And those are actually the two picks as well. So I would probably avoid this week. But if you're going for them, those are the guys to look for. Looking at Nottingham Forest, a good win for them against Manchester United, who are still off form. Forest have a big problem. All of their frontline defenders are gone off to AFCON. So they are missing a lot in this defensive lineup. They also have Ilanga, who's doubtful, and Awani, who's doubtful. Calling out the picks here for Ilanga and Gibbs White because they're taking on this Brentford team that is also struggling at this moment in time, but no other picks. And then looking at Manchester United, again, no picks this week. They go up against Tottenham. Tottenham are really looking good. Again, and definitely stronger than Manchester United in terms of consistency and form. United still struggling with a lot of issues, a lot of defenders and midfielders, as you can see, still out with injuries. Looking at Fulham and Arsenal, Fulham managed to pull the win against Arsenal in the last game week, but they also have key players missing due to AFCON. Again, still calling out Andres Pereira and Willian, who are still the most consistent point scorers. They have a tough game against Chelsea, although Chelsea's form again is not maybe the most consistent, but I wouldn't back them to do too much against Chelsea. Arsenal, on the other hand, they have Tomiyasu, who was injured, have now gone off to the Asian Cup, so not too much of a change there. Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus are both doubtful, but they need to get the win. They're back to having a little bit of a favourable run before they get to Liverpool. They need to make sure that they're in a good position to take over that top spot. So looking at Saka, Odegaard, who's been a bit resurgent now, and again Saliba, who's favoured by many managers to hold that line. Looking at Spurs, they take on Manchester United this week. Should be a tough one for them, is what it says on paper. They have some issues. Davies, Romero, Madison, all of them are still out. Son has gone off to the Asian Cup. Sai has gone off to AFCON, as well as Bissouma. They have a struggling team at this moment in time. Foro is definitely favoured among most of the managers and has been doing well in previous weeks. Richarlison and Betancourt probably going to have to carry the attacking lineup. And of course, I haven't put him here as a pick, but in the transfers that we'll discuss, Timo Werner is joining Spurs. And I don't know if he'll be available for this match. If he is, possibly one to watch out for. Bournemouth, on the other hand, so they had a tough loss here against Spurs, and they've got an even tougher week coming against Liverpool. Senesi's suspended. They've got Dango and Semenyo off to the AFCON, and then Kekes is also out injured. They could still score from Tavernier, Billings, and Solanke. Solanke's also been on great form, but Liverpool are a very tough team for them to take on. So pick these, I guess, only if you need to. Looking at Liverpool themselves, so they've got Bournemouth this week. They would be looking to the win. They'll be looking to increase their lead at the top. They've got some tough games coming up. You can see Chelsea and Arsenal back to back, so Bournemouth is a good chance for them to secure some points. They've got some issues as well. Trent Alexander-Arnold is out. Tsimikas is out from the back. So that's really concerning. The talismanic Mo Salah is off to the AFCON, and Endo is off to the Asian Cup. So that means you're looking at Diego Jota and Luis Diaz possibly from midfield to provide the creative flair. McAllister is back as well, but probably playing more in a defensive role. And I have not put him down Nunez because I don't know if his form is really up. Looking at Newcastle, they've got some issues as well. Anderson, Barnes, Joe Linton, all of them out. Pope as well. Wilson, Callum Wilson as well. So not picking anyone because their form has not been great in the last couple of weeks. And then looking at West Ham, Brighton, I think West Ham are really good for the pick. They've got a few people that are out. Kudus is off to the AFCON, so is Aguerd. Get us injured. Bowen and Antonio are doubtful but should play. But they've really got some good players that are there. Ward-Prowse is always an option. Ariola in the back is really good for the money that you're spending. And Jared Bowen, if he's playing, is scoring at about 7 points a game on average, which is really, really good. And they have a fairly good fixture against Sheffield United this week. Brighton, on the other hand, they are now turning the corner, and like they started the season, they have some favorable fixtures coming up. They've got Pervis Estupinan back, and he's already scored when he came back, so looking to pick him again. Pascal Gross is still in good form, and João Pedro is now scored, I think, 13 goals in all competitions this season, so maybe one that you want to look at as forward. They do have Kaoru Matoma going to the Asian Cup, but he's not been very effective the last couple of weeks. And of course, Ansu Fati and Martin all injured, and Adingra going to the AFCON. Now, looking at the fixture rating, very few teams that I would favor. Arsenal, Aston Villa, Brighton, and West Ham seem to be the ones with the most favorable fixtures and where you really want to focus your attention. And then a lot of them to be cautious with. So Bournemouth, Manchester City, Newcastle, Tottenham, a lot of the teams that have been giving us consistent performances are now facing each other or other tough teams. So you really have to be cautious about your change. You can still hang on to Liverpool players for another week, but then you really need to consider whether you bank or not. Now, we've added in transfers because the transfer window is open, and many of you would have noticed that you've got your wild card in. So Timo Werner is now confirmed coming in for Spurs, and latest news is that Jadon Sancho is now confirmed to be leaving Manchester United on loan. Both deals are on loan. Jadon Sancho will go back to Dortmund on loan until his future is decided. So those are the transfer news yet, and we'll keep updating this week on week. You would have noticed that you've got another wild card as well. Let's say the cautious say don't use that just yet. Wait until the transfer window is open or closed rather, and then you'll know better who's available for you to restructure your team. So that's all we have for now, guys. This was a bit of a longer update because of all the changes happening. But good luck for game week 21, and we'll come back with another recording once it's done. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Looking forward to the next one. Good luck for now.